Hey, thanks for coming back for part four of Russell Brunson's Selling Online. Again, we're talking about his sales page. I'm gonna just quickly go to the top, and then we're gonna get back to right to this section because that's where we left off. But I want to go to the top just to kind of, for anybody that's jumping in the middle, this is what we're talking about here. So it's one-to-many selling secrets. It's a 3-day event. He's got a schedule right here, 1, 2, 3, and then and then we talked about how he was disqualifying certain people. So yeah, we're right about here. Wow, it's amazing. I've not gotten very far on this. I was hoping to get further along, but anyway, this is a pretty long page, a lot of details. I mean, Russell, he's got some of the best copywriters around, so they're doing a lot of really good tactics that I'm recognizing, that are good persuasion tactics. Okay, so it says if that short list doesn't disqualify you, then please read on. This could be the most important game-changing event of your life. Okay, um, pretty standard, um, but I guess it's effective. It's just like, oh yeah, this really could change my life. Not so much. I keep throwing in life-changing, but they're not saying life. They're saying game-changing. So this really could change this thing. This could really turn things around for me, right? Okay, so I'm gonna get right to it. I'm Russell Brunson. I have overlapped 20 plus years. I've been spilling almost all my secrets, including published numerous books, driving millions. What's great about this is that he's not telling anybody, he's not telling anybody who doesn't know who he is what he's doing, because this obviously would be insufficient. He's just reminding you of what he's done, right? And it is a good reminder. I mean, I knew he's been in the business for many years. I probably would have guessed maybe 20 years. Um, and then, yes, he's published numerous books, millions of dollars of traffic to his online sales funnel training, and um, so it's just a good reminder. You don't have to. He's a well-known figure, just like kind of like a Tony Robbins. You don't have to belabor the point. Okay, so let's continue. With my experience, I've been fortunate enough to help hundreds of everyday entrepreneurs go from not knowing the first thing about selling to eventually becoming online marketing masters, earning multiple two comma club awards. Okay, so that's I mean that's just great. I mean he's just basically saying, look, I've taken people from nothing to two commas, which is a minimum $1 million. All right, now he comes to, okay, so now he says, however, there's still a whole lot more selling secrets I've held back, which is interesting because whenever somebody says they held back a bunch of stuff from this other training or whatever, they said that was the end all be all, that was everything you were to get. I get a little suspicious. Like, well, if you held back all this time, what makes you believe? So, are you really going to give me everything, all the secrets now? Probably not. I mean, maybe I would have said something like, even with doing all those things, last this past year, last year, I've learned so much more. And the game is always changing, and there's a lot of secrets I have not had a chance to get out to you. This is my opportunity get to get those things out. Like I haven't been able to write a book, or I haven't been able to do this. This is where you're gonna get it all. I would have said something along those lines because, like I said, when somebody says they held back, it sounds a little I don't know what the word is I'm trying to say, but um, it's just a little devious, maybe. That's kind of a strong word, but it's like, well, why are you holding back? I mean, I thought you were going to tell me everything on whatever the last event I was. Maybe I went to Funnel Hacking Live, and I was like, I thought you told me you were going to share everything. Okay, so here we go. Back to the word dangerous. The dangerous stuff that I've used to transform. Okay, so which is good. Transform seemingly uninterested prospects into red hot buyers who happily part ways large sums of moolah. So okay, so and maybe that's why he's saying I've held back, because this is the dangerous stuff, right? This is this is the dangerous stuff. The reason that's why I never shared it before. Okay, so we're reading on. What I share is so valuable and lucrative. I've been able to go from a timid, introverted, non-sales type where I freak out before asking for the sale. Okay, so I think a lot of people can identify with that, right? He's being very emotional, vulnerable, and people are going to identify with that sentiment, right? They're like, oh my God, yeah, it's asking for the sale. And even, a lot of times asking for the sale, even like one-on-one selling, um, sometimes people don't want to be aggressive, even in their sales pages, right? They're like, oh, how do we ask for the sale? Um, and so it'd be great to learn from somebody like him who knows how to ask for the sale. He's done lots of sales pages. Okay, so to easily, confidently get people to take me up on my offer after offer without hesitation. Okay. Problem is, most people make it when it comes to selling. They think there's only one way to sell. Okay. All right. So let's scoot down to here. So now he's getting it. Now here is where the teaching moment. He said, if we looked in, I think it was part one, we talked about. He said, I'm going to show you, like in the parentheses. So right up here. Okay. It's no secret if you learn how to sell, and in the way I'll be showing you on this page. So he says, I'm going to be showing you on this page. And then right about here, this is where he's showing us. So he's really following through on his promise. I think one thing is important when you have these open loops, that you kind of close them pretty early. Don't have an open loop like at the top, and then you got this really long page, and then bingo, that you get the payoff. It's like you want to do it, pretty close in. I when I'm writing emails and stuff like that, it's like I like to have the payoff, right away. Some people like to drag it on. Like, no, I want people to know that they're being rewarded for clicking on the email, or in this case, staying on the page. Um, and so it's not too much in here um, that's not you know uh, answering this open loop. Okay, so uh, the three methods to selling and one that works predictably. Okay, so so he's going to tell you three different ways that are probably familiar, call them methods. One, okay, so and then only really he just says in one that works predictably. Um, okay, so one-to-one selling, face-to-face selling. Um, he talks about the good part, but then here's the bad part. Saying it often leads to burnout. Um, and then method two, one to many selling. So this is interesting because this is probably what he's been talking about. Um, this is when your sales ceiling is dramatically lifted because you can now do the same presentation you would have given to a single individual and deliver to a massive audience, which cuts down on the time it would take to receive way more sales. Okay. Okay, so he talks about his. I mean, this is in the video. He goes, I sold a $3,000 offer to Grant Cardone's audience of 9,000 attendees with a 90-minute presentation. Then he tells you, um, how long it would take. Okay, so now, okay, so most people would be like, okay, I agree. You're right. That's great. I would love I would love to do that. Where's the problem in that? Okay, so here's the problem. This method, while amazing in so many ways, can be very limited because one, you're beholden to the number of times you can get on stage in front of an audience, which is true. You have to make an appointment. You have to find and really get into front of that audience. And if you're not somebody like Russell Brunson, you're probably not going to get in front of a Grant Cardone audience of 9,000 people. Okay, number two, you have to assume you're answering all the audience's questions and helping them overcome objections without talking to them individually. Okay. Um, so there's the pros and cons, right? The pros and cons. Method three. This is the key. So one to infinite sales. So we had one to one to many, and one to infinite, which it's not really consistent. I'm looking at the way it's written, like one to many, it's got the dashes. One to one, it's got the dashes. One to infinite doesn't. And I look for things like that in copy. consistency in how it's written and everything like this. So you got to pay attention to that. So okay, this is key. With this method, you're taking your skill set plus audience and removing time from the equation. That's interesting. I'm not sure what he's talking about. You can take your sales skills and plug them into a simple sales funnel and have an endless supply of your dream customer. Okay, so yeah, you're taking away time from them because you could actually run this thing 24 hours of sleep. 24 hours a day, make money while you sleep kind of thing. Okay, so now there's a problem with this thing. Here's the problem. Most people who teach this method are either fly-by-night marketers who are looking to make a quick buck. That is very true. Never to be heard from again. Yes. Or they simply don't know what they're talking about. Also true. Oftentimes using outdated tactics, strategies that simply don't work in today's modern ways of selling. So it's interesting. So the problem with this is that there's a problem with the actual method, right? They're saying this could lead to burnout. This could lead to burnout and hit a cap. Okay, one-to-many selling is that part of the method is the number of times you get on stage in front of a live audience. The method. Here, the problem is not the method. It's the like who's teaching you. So it's not really congruent with the other one. So he's not really saying the method is bad. He just says people who teach it are bad. And so it's kind of like a like a magician's smoke and mirrors trick. It's like you think it's congruent, but it's not. And so it's really in an outdated tactics again, kind of like what you're learning or what you're doing, but the strategy in of itself doesn't seem like it has any drawbacks, right? It's just the way you've learned it. So it's not really congruent. But anyway, that's obviously the point, is to make, it's kind of like, you go to an interview and they go, what are your biggest weaknesses? I work too much. I work way, way too much. I get things done on time. That's a huge weakness of mine. Everybody likes me. It's a huge weakness. It's stuff like this. So that's kind of the same idea. It's like the problem is not really a problem. Because if you really wanted to come up with a problem with selling online, I can come up with a dozen problems. And he probably could have too. But obviously he came up with this problem, which is not really a problem. The problem is the problem he's solving on the page, right? The problem is not the strategy or not the method. The problem is teaching, right? Who's teaching you this? Who's showing you this? Where are you getting your strategies, your outdated tactics? Oh, by the way, we solved that problem, right? Whereas this problem is not, he's not solving not solving somebody from getting burnt out or hitting their cap. I can't solve that problem. Maybe, yeah, the solution to that problem is to do this. And then, and you can't always get in front of it. And then this one, like one-to-many selling on a stage, well, you can't go to always get an audience. Well, the solution to that problem is infinite sales. And then this problem, the solution to this problem is to go to his webinar or this presentation. So it all kind of leads to, the next one down. So a very good strategy, very good copy. So I'm, following the strategy, and this is how, these guys work. Russell Brunson and his copywriters and his marketers. They've done this and know this. So I'm just here breaking it all down, explaining, the strategy and the methodology and the persuasion and things like that. And I barely reviewed this page, so I'm kind of just doing this off the cuff. All right, so let's take a look at this next section. Actually, what I'm going to do is, because this section is pretty long, I'm going to wait. I'm going to cover this in the what are we, part 4 and part 5, because like I said, I want to keep these into 15-minute videos because they get a little long. But I might make the next couple of videos a lot longer, maybe half an hour, because this is a long page. There's a lot to break down here. I mean, Russell Brunson knows what he's doing. He's very persuasive. And I like to look at it, pretty much line by line, because you're going to learn a lot from looking at a page like this. And so I am going to, like I said, I'm gonna pick this up later and in the other videos. And like I said, they're gonna be a little longer, but I really want to drill down on this page because it's a really good page. All right, so like I said, so we're gonna pick up on part 5 on this. Where are we? Okay, so we just talked about the problem. So the solution to this problem is to go to this webinar, is to learn from somebody who knows, right? Because that's really not the problem. He's not really pointing out the biggest problem of selling online, because selling online, there's a lot of problems. But his problem that he's pointing out is related to his solution that he's providing, which is really smart. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to be in part 5, and it's going to be in the next video. So hopefully I'll see you there. So thanks for hanging out.